This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
3 days. 3 days, a long and 72 hours, actually 74 and a half hours from now, Donald Trump places his left hand on the Bible, raises his right hand, and is sworn into office again. The 47th president, the 45th and 47th president, and Joe Biden becomes nothing but a dark stain in history, nothing but a failed president. He shuffles off to the beach, off to sponge off some oligarch's vacation home in California or Nantucket or St. Croix. Then we look back in shame that we ever selected Joe Biden as president of the United States. It is Christmas morning. It is the day before the Super Bowl. It is the last day of school. It is one of those days, one of those moments in history where you just get excited to wake up and face the day, knowing that the country will be back on course, knowing that we'll be back as a nation, that there's no more of this absolute madness that we've lived through for the last 4 years. And there's a lot to be excited about, I have to say. There's a lot of things on the agenda in the first day, in the first week, in the first 100 days. I get the sense that we're going to wake up a lot of days and just feel good about what's going on with our country, which has had some really dark days. It's hard to believe what we lived through for the last 4 years. I mean, since 4 years ago today, they've been trying to put this man in prison. They were working on their second impeachment 4 years ago today, even though Trump was out of office. They impeached him for telling the crowd to go peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol. That will be happening on Monday. There'll be a lot of people there, and they will be going peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol to watch this man get sworn in. And there's just going to be a great feeling. I will be there. I'm heading to D.C. I made my plans. I got my hotel. I got my flight. And then I looked at the weather and said, uh-oh. And now I'm looking for my long johns and my warmest socks and gloves and hat and everything else. It's going to be 21 degrees, high of 21, low of 60, a low of, let me check that again. Low is in the single digits. Hopefully the sun will be out and it will be at least 20 degrees, but it's going to be painfully cold. But you know what? There's going to be a great feeling in the crowd, a great feeling in the city. It's different than 8 years ago. I was there 8 years ago. It was quite a scene, but there was real tension. The Antifa scum were roaming around, breaking things. They set a limo on fire near the Trump Hotel. I saw that. They surrounded the Trump Hotel. They were yelling and they're projecting things with their video screen thing onto the Trump Hotel. And they were busy. Joe Biden was busy. Barack Obama was busy. All his minions were busy setting up Donald Trump, setting him up to fail, coming up with the phony Russia investigation and doing their best to undermine the man before he took office. Now, they're probably working on a similar plan, but I don't think it's going to work this time. I think the Democrats are defeated and demoralized, and they know that the country is no longer with them. They know they have tacked so far to the left that they've been rejected by most of the country. And it's going to be a tough 4 years for them as they try to find their footing. We're watching the hearings for Trump nominees now, and it is pathetic. There's a bunch of old and wrinkly and out of touch Democrat senators who are asking about climate change and asking each nominee if they've committed sexual assault, which is just bizarre. They're not sending their best. And I think most, if not all, Trump nominees will sail through, which is a nightmare for Democrats. We're talking about Pete Hegseth and Kash Patel and RFK Jr. We'll see how he does. He hasn't had his turn yet, but he'll be good. He's smart. He's ready. He's a fighter. They're all fighters. Trump's people in this go-round are all fighters. There will be no double agents like John Kelly and Mattis and Esper, or none of these people like Mark Milley. Trump has woken up. He's aware that there are people there who don't want him to succeed. I think Trump 2.0 will be better than Trump 1.0, and he will be undeterred, unshackled, unafraid to do what he promised to do. And I got a question. What are you most excited about? What are you looking forward to the most? I think, to me, as I've said many times, it's watching the great Tom Homan go to work on day one. He was on with our friend Rob Finnerty on Newsmax last night, and he said, we got some things to do. He doesn't want to get ahead of Trump, but he says, you wait. Monday, Tuesday, we're going to get to work. And I think he's going to head into the blue cities, the blue states, and go to work removing violent criminals from the communities and challenging Democrats to stand in his way. I'm hoping that there is one or two Democrat mayors or governors who stand in his way and end up handcuffed and frog marched into the wagon and sent to jail, because that's what it takes to do the right thing and get these violent threats out of the community. That's what people voted for. They voted for a number of things that we're going to see right off the bat. As Trump promised, drill, baby, drill. Now, Biden has attempted to hamstring his successor, of course. As Trump said, this is not a smooth transition. Joe Biden is going to do his best to sabotage his successor, but Trump will overcome, and Homan will go to work, and we will see ICE agents and Homan's team in these blue cities doing their best to remove violent threats, which is going to upset Democrats, which is going to be great. I want them to go to bat, to stand up for violent illegal aliens. Do that, Democrats. That's a great idea. I look forward to the drill, baby, drill, the deportation. I look forward to the pardons. We will see on Monday, at least some, if not all, J6ers get pardoned, which again will cause Democrat heads to explode. Here's why he should pardon all of them. Blanket pardon. As the great Julie Kelly points out, this is not about the defendants. This is not about the J6ers. It's about the system. It's about the prosecution. It's about what Merrick Garland and Joe Biden did. They put these people in jail without a fair trial. We know that. They abused the system to put their political enemies in jail. And some of them were violent. Yes, they were. But they've been in jail for three and a half years already. They've been punished. They've been put in a deplorable jail. They've been in solitary confinement. So yes, I would like to see them all pardoned on day one. That's the kind of thing Trump promised to do, and he should do. Why not? Who's that going to upset? The media? You think Jake Tapper's going to handle that, or Kristen Welker? Who cares? This is a new Trump, a different Trump. He knows it doesn't matter what they say. He doesn't have to face the voters. He doesn't have to worry about being impeached or indicted. Those days are over. They had their chance. They did their best. They tried to put him in jail, and they failed. And now he's free to do what he promised to do. There's so many things I look forward to. Let's see. How about this one? The Epstein files. How'd you like to see the Epstein files next week? Or the Diddy files? How'd you like to see pro-life protesters who are in jail for praying outside abortion clinics? I'd like to see them pardoned. How would that be? That'd be a wonderful thing, walking out of jail with their rosary beads and their Bibles, and praying for the unborn. Free to go. Yes, you're free to go. You have been pardoned. Joe Biden yesterday commuted the sentences of 2,500 more prisoners. Joe Biden commuted the death sentences of 37 federal inmates on death row, people who killed children, mass murderers. They're going to complain when Trump pardons some grandma who prayed outside an abortion clinic? You're going to complain about that after he pardoned Hunter Biden, gave him a blanket pardon covering 11 years of the Biden crime family? Good luck. You go with that. I want the media to bitch about that. Here's why Trump 2.0 is going to be different. It's going to be refreshing. Trump says this all the time, and he means it. It's going to be an administration based on common sense. Here's what the media doesn't understand. The Democrats don't understand is what they have now is a guy who's not an ideologue. Donald Trump is not really a right-winger. He's certainly not a right-wing zealot like me. He's not. He is indeed a common sense guy, a business guy, a deal maker. That's not an ideologue. That's not Joe Biden's an ideologue, or at least the people who were controlling him were ideologues. We've had ideologues on the left. God knows Barack Obama's an ideologue. There's been conservative ideologues. Nothing wrong with that. But that's not Trump. That's not the people around Trump. Trump used to be a Democrat. Trump is concerned with one thing, getting things done. Getting things done. He doesn't sit there and say, he's not even a pro-lifer. I mean, he's a moderate on abortion, which upsets some people on the right, upsets evangelicals, but that's what he is. He's never been a fanatical pro-lifer like many conservatives, for good or bad. That's what he is. He's a deal maker, and I always go back to the old slogan. Democrats, liberals worry about what's fair. What's fair? Conservatives, Republicans worry about what works. What works? That's what drives Trump. What works? What can we get done? How can we get the hostages home without worrying about ideologues on either side? How can we end the war, this stupid war in Ukraine? As he says every time he's asked about it, I don't want people to die. I want to stop the killing. That's not ideological. That's common sense. Dying over the Donbass region makes no sense, not just for Americans, for Ukrainians, for Russians. Dying over some sliver of land because you think Putin is a bad guy, that's the approach of Democrats, or at least they pretend it is. Yeah, we ought to fight for democracy. We have to stop Putin or he'll go to Poland. That's not true. We know that. They're fighting over land. And he wants to end it, and he will end it. And he will stop wasting billions and wasting lives. That's the way a common sense guy thinks. That's the way a deal maker thinks. Let's make a deal. When he picks his nominees, he doesn't pick ideologues. He doesn't pick crazy, right-wing, dyed-in-the-wool conservatives. He picks people who will do the job and get things done. Now, there was, we talked a lot about Hegseth and the other nominees, Pam Bondi and Marco Rubio. There was a nominee yesterday, which I think really kind of illuminated the Trump approach yesterday. Scott Bessent. Now, most people never heard of him. I knew nothing about him until Trump nominated him as his Secretary of the Treasury. He went before the Senate yesterday, and I found this fascinating. He's a brilliant man, a common sense man. You got the sense that he wasn't putting on a show and he wasn't concerned with what people want to hear. He wasn't reading from notes. He wasn't ducking and dodging and saying, how can I get through this? He was just talking. And he's really smart on monetary policy, on energy policy. He was so impressive. This is your new Treasury Secretary. He's going to get confirmed. But there was a moment which I think kind of encapsulated the Trump approach and hopefully the approach, the shift in this country. Now, we just watched 4 years of identity politics, 4 years of DEI, 4 years of an administration based on immutable characteristics, on sex and gender and sexual orientation. Biden made his choice, made all his choices based on checking boxes. We saw it. Hell, his vice president, he chose the worst vice president we've ever seen, an absolute vapid, know-nothing candidate, as we've seen, as we've discussed, Kamala Harris. Just a complete embarrassment. Anyway, and then he picked Ketanji Brown Jackson, who doesn't know what a woman is. Then he picked Pete Buttigieg, who was the mayor of a small city, to be the Secretary of Transportation because he likes men. That's all. That's the only reason. And he picked KJP, and we'll get to her, an absolute dummy, to be the face of his administration because she checked lots of boxes. Those days are over. All right. Those days are over. That is perhaps the most refreshing change we're going to see. It doesn't matter anymore. We're done with DEI. We're basing this on merit and qualifications. And hopefully that's the case everywhere, from the White House to the LA Fire Department. Hopefully we see a real change for the better, an emphasis on merit, on qualifications, on earning your position. So Scott Bessent, in passing, points out how when he was a kid growing up in South Carolina, he wanted to go to the Naval Academy. Obviously, really smart guy, qualified, could have gone to Annapolis, but he didn't. Listen to him explain why he ended up at Yale and not at Annapolis. Go ahead.
But sitting here today is especially meaningful for me because this is my third try at public service. In 1979, when I was 17 years old, I wanted to fight for my country. My father had just experienced extreme financial difficulties. I wanted to attend the U.S. Naval Academy. I was offered by our congressman in the 6th District of South Carolina an appointment, but was unable to take that appointment because of my sexual preference. I managed to go to Yale, worked several jobs to do that. While at Yale, I wanted to do public service and joined the Foreign Service. I was told also not welcome. So sitting here today is my third attempt at public service. And I sit here knowing that President Trump chose me because he believes I'm the best candidate, not because of my sexual preference, not because Treasury secretaries with green eyes do better. And I think it is a tribute to President Trump that he looks at people as people.
That right there is just fascinating to me. Trump doesn't care. He didn't pick Scott Bessent because of his sexual preference. By the way, I didn't think we were supposed to use that term anymore. But he's sitting there. Behind him is his husband. Next to him are his kids. He's a gay man, and no one even knew it unless you knew a lot about the guy. It didn't matter. Trump was the first president to ever take office supporting gay marriage. Now, you can debate that. Lots of right-wingers, lots of conservatives still don't support that. Trump doesn't care. It doesn't matter to him. He's not saying, oh, geez, he's really smart. But, oh, geez, he's gay. Let's get him in there. Then we can brag. Then the media will say, look, the first gay Treasury Secretary. You won't even hear that. It doesn't matter. The guy's smart as hell. The guy has, again, he had all the answers. He had a great performance, a great appearance before the Senate committee yesterday. That was not even one of the highlights. It was just him saying, yeah, I couldn't do these things when I was younger. because I'm gay. And now nobody cares. That's the way it's supposed to be. We are going to look back and say, what a mistake it was to have an administration based on immutable characteristics, on things that just don't matter. Virtually every choice Biden made was based on things that just don't matter. That's why his administration, one of the reasons it was such a disaster. Biden thought it was a good thing to have transgender people on the White House lawn flashing the cameras and showing their scars. Isn't that great? No, it's not. This is great. Having a guy who just so happens to be gay and also happens to be smart as hell and really qualified. This is a great change among the many other things that are changing now in this country. This is something to be celebrated. This is what, hell, gay people should celebrate this. A guy who chose just happens to be gay. He's not going to be the grand marshal at the next gay pride parade like Pete Buttigieg or Kristen Crowley. No, he's just going to say, hey, this is cool. Trump picked me, doesn't care, who I love. One other highlight from Scott Bessent before we move on. I love this. Just matter-of-factly explaining to, I think it's Senator Ron Wyden, explaining why this climate change nonsense is so destructive. It just makes no sense to emphasize climate change when our competitors, China and India and you name it, Russia, you name it, they're not doing it. You can't have a climate change, a clean energy policy just for us. It doesn't work that way. It's a big world. It makes no sense to sit there and cripple our economy for this crazy net zero carbon neutral nonsense if the rest of the world is not on board. And I got news for you. The rest of the world is not on board. Here's Scott Bessent explaining just matter-of-factly why it is crazy to base all our policies, economic policy, energy policies, on this insane notion that we have to invest in clean energy or the world's going to end. Watch this.
About the legislation that was written in this room that was the biggest transformation on clean energy in American history. That is our package that basically said the tax code as it relates to energy is a broken down mess. And we basically said we're going to have a technology neutral system. The more you reduce carbon, the bigger your tax savings. Now there is a big effort in the Trump administration to reverse it. I think that's going to be bad for the economy, but it is going to be damn good for China because we are in an arms race on clean energy with them. Are you going to be on the side of people who want to unravel this?
Senator Wyden, just so we can frame this for everyone in the room, China will build 100 new coal plants this year. There is not a clean energy race. There is an energy race. China will build 10 nuclear plants this year. That is not solar. I am in favor of more nuclear plants. And I would note that the IRA, as scored by the CBO, is wildly out of control in terms of spending on the upside.
That's so good. That is so good. We are not in a clean energy race. We are in an energy race. What sense does it make to not burn coal or build nuke plants if China's doing it, if the rest of the world is doing it? It makes no sense. Their policy, Biden's policy, Democrats' policy makes no sense. And he laid it out there again. No notes, no script, no plan, just telling you. That's foolish. It's just foolish to abandon coal, which works, for your wind and solar if China's not doing it, and they're not doing it. We got more examples of the death of DEI, and I think Scott Bessent's the best example we've seen yet. But that is, I guess, if we're going to talk about the greatest developments, the greatest shifts we're going to see beginning next week, that would be it. The death of DEI, the death of this insane policy of basing everything on skin color and sexuality. Those days are over, and we should all celebrate. We'll get to we'll get to the latest from the LA fires. Yes, they were warned. I'm sorry, Bill Burr, Jimmy Kimmel. They were warned. They knew it was coming. They didn't prepare, and now we have entire communities, towns, cities in ruins. And KJP, speaking of diversity hires, bad diversity hires, KJP made her farewell appearance, and she wanted you to know that her celebrating herself and saying goodbye was more important than, that little deal between Hamas and Israel. That can wait. KJP wanted the proper send-off. God, these people they're just narcissists. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
Do you wake up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, or ringing in your ears from grinding and clenching your teeth at night? I've been through this. It's fairly common, and dentists charge $600 for a bruxism night guard. Many people are now discovering the Brux Night Guard. Unlike regular night guards that go all the way to the back of the teeth, Brux Night Guard only covers the front teeth. This unique design is what sets Brux Night Guard apart from all other guards. It only covers the front teeth, so the bite force is directed away from the back, where many people grind and clench to help reduce jaw pain and still protect the teeth. You mold it at home to the top and bottom teeth. And unlike other guards, it is made in America and uses 2 materials for added durability. Order a Brux Night Guard today and use the code MAX22 to get 10% off plus free shipping. Go to bruxnightguard.com and enter the code word MAX22. Oh, it's up to, 22 for Monday in D.C., a high of 22, low of 9. I'm not sure what time it's going to be, 9 degrees, but I think it'll be 22. Hopefully it'll be 22 when Trump is sworn in. That's going to be interesting. It must be tough to perform, like play guitar, sing. We're going to see Carrie Underwood sing America the Beautiful, I believe, and Lee Greenwood and the Village People. I mean, they're old, really cold weather. That's tough on the old folks. And it's going to be tough on some of these senators, Chuck Grassley and Liz Warren, and some of these geriatrics who will be there. Although I don't know if Liz is coming. I love these announcements, by the way. Democrats saying, I'm not going to the inauguration. Nancy Pelosi, AOC, says she's not going. Who cares? I mean, why would we care if Nancy Pelosi or AOC or any Democrat shows up? Bernie Sanders, I'm sure, will be there with his mittens. Remember 4 years ago or 8 years ago, he had his big mittens on. He sat there and shivering. You don't have to go, Bernie. Take the day off. More room for the rest of us. I remember 8 years ago when I went, it was pretty wild. There was a lot of protests. I'm not sure they're going to show up this time. Security's going to be really tight. Obviously, Trump's life is in danger every time he steps outside. Jimmy Carter started the tradition of walking at least part of the way from the Capitol to the White House, and every president, including Trump, has done it since. And I'm not sure that's a good idea this time with all the threats on his life. But Trump is appointing that the guy, his top Secret Service guy, as director of the Secret Service, which is a good thing because that guy has been by his side. He was by his side when he got shot, and now he's going to be in charge of the Secret Service. So I think Trump knows who he can trust, and I think he can trust this guy. And he will, they'll be doing their best. They can't allow anything to happen to the man. So I think they'll keep him safe on Monday, but we'll see how many people show up and brave the cold for this momentous occasion. Looking forward to it. I don't know that I'll be able to see, Kid Rock, I think, is Sunday, so I don't think I'm going to be able to see Kid Rock. I'm just going to run. I'm going to get to what's the guy's name? Get me his name. The Secret Service guy, Sean something, who's going to be Sean Curran. Is going to be the new director of the Secret Service. Good choice. Trump knows him well, and I think he could trust him. Unlike Ronald Rowe or Kimberly Cheadle or the rest of these deep state swamp creatures. It's another good choice. Trump knows what he's doing this time. I don't think he's going to screw up and pick any traitors the way he did last time in his cabinet or in his small circles. So, all right, before we get to KJP, I got to do this story because you can file this under "they will never learn." Democrats just will never learn. They don't know. They don't feel. They don't understand what's happening in this country. That shift we just talked about, they don't see it. They don't care. This was yesterday. This is just amazing to me. I don't know what it's like to be a Democrat. I don't know what it's like to be on their side. This is from Fox News. More than 140 Democrats voted against a House bill to deport illegal immigrants convicted of sex crimes on Thursday. This was yesterday, a bill introduced by Nancy Mace, which would deport illegal aliens who are here illegally and then commit sex-related crimes, and then commit rape, sexual assault, then molest children. How do you vote against this? The legislation passed along bipartisan lines, 274 to 145. All Republicans supported it. 145 Democrats, the vast majority of Democrats, voted against it. That just, and I say this all the time, but what is it? What goes through your mind? What's involved in the decision to say, yes, we don't want to deport illegal alien rapists? That's where they stand. That's where my Congresswoman, Ayanna Pressley, and most Democrats in Massachusetts, we had 2 yes votes, Stephen Lynch and Lori Trahan, who is learning. There was a illegal immigrant arrested in her home city of Lowell, where she just a week or 2 ago. So she's changed her tune, and now she wants to deport illegal alien rapists. But most Democrats do not, which is just amazing. How do you rationalize this? And by the way, it doesn't matter. Trump is coming. Holman's coming. These people are leaving. We're getting rid of them, whether you want to or not. But they're not voting to not deport illegal aliens. They're voting to not deport illegal aliens who commit rape, who molest children. And there's a lot of them. And they want them in your community. That is your Democrat congressman right there. I'm looking for somebody. Here's Pramila Jayapal, that crazy squad member. She says it would create, quote, a chilling effect for reporting future crimes and empower abusers to go after immigrant women and children. What? There's liberal logic for you. By deporting illegal alien rapists, it will empower abusers to go after immigrant women and children. What? I don't. It's illogical. It's incoherent. It's your Democrat Party today defending illegal alien rapists. That's what we're talking about here. All right, before we get to the, we got to get to this Worcester story too, but I got to do KJP. God knows we've talked a lot about KJP in the last 4 years. Just an absolute embarrassment. Just the worst press secretary. And in many cases, it's not her fault. She was tasked with defending a dementia patient, a pathological liar in Joe Biden. She was tasked with defending just disastrous policies one after another. As I explained yesterday, there is nothing. There's not a single redeeming feature in the Biden administration. Zero accomplishments, zero things they did that actually benefited the American people. None. And she was the one who had to go before the media and defend it. But obviously, she's just there because she checks a bunch of boxes. She's not there because she's smart or competent or articulate or intelligent, obviously. So she goes before the media 2 days ago And the deal between Israel and Hamas, that lousy deal, which I guess is the best they could do, but it's kind of historic. It's kind of newsworthy. She says, no, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about me. Let's talk about me. And she had a little dispute with John Kirby, the spokesman for the State Department, the admiral, who, again, he was tasked with lying on behalf of the president, but he's at least reasonably competent. He's not a diversity hire. She told him to hit the bricks, get lost. I want to talk about me, not about Israel. Let's talk about the history, the glass ceilings that I have broken. What? I mean, this is delusional and it is narcissistic, but it's also just crazy. We don't care about you. You're just a vessel. You're a spokesperson. You weren't elected. You were just selected because you were, the first. But listen to her ramble on about herself. Go ahead.
And that is okay. The give and take that happens here is incredibly healthy, and it is part of our democracy. I have been honored to partake in it with all of you. Well, most of the time I've been honored to take it. But in all seriousness, I also said at the first briefing, I would not be here today if it were not for generations of barrier-breaking people before me. I have stood on their shoulders. I benefit from their sacrifices. I have learned excellence, and I am eternally grateful to them. And now I will pass the torch. It is my sincere hope that while I may be the first for many things at this podium behind this lectern, I am not the last. I hope my presence at this podium has served as inspiration to many young girls out there.
Yeah. Oh, shut up. Honest to God. We know why you're there. It has nothing to do with your qualifications or your competence. We've seen you in action. The question is she capable of doing a TV show on MSNBC or CNN? Because usually that's how it works. I mean, Jen Psaki worked at the White House, and then and she worked in service of the president as a spokesperson, and then she went to MSNBC and continued her role in service of the president. And I guess she can read a teleprompter. Do you think KJP can do that job? Is a television network, is one of the big networks, ABC, are they going to hire her? It seems, if they do, I hope they do, because that'll be good for us, because she is just so terrible at the job, so ill-equipped, so awful at the job. But all those questions about Israel, they can wait. Let me talk about me. That was, speaking of me, can we do this Worcester story before we get to the fires? I do want to do our NFL picks if we have time here, Ironhead, but we have to do this Worcester story. Again, they didn't get the memo. In Massachusetts, we haven't gotten the memo yet. We are still in that crazy woke world where everything is about diversity and sexuality and identity. It feels like a story from 2020 or 2021. We haven't heard here in deep blue Massachusetts that things have changed, right? That we're not indulging your fetishes and your fantasies anymore. It's not about you. Here's a city councilor in Worcester. Her name, I don't even know. I can't even do this they thing. Honest to God. There's nothing more narcissistic than saying, I'm a they, requiring everybody else to not use proper English. I'm a plural. You can be whatever you want. You can't be a plural. You can't force me to change the language to make you somehow feel better. It's just, so this person, Thu Nguyen, the first openly non-binary elected official in Massachusetts history. Wow, there's some history. Announced plans to take a 1-month hiatus from the Worcester City Council to step away from toxic council culture. I will be taking a month to prioritize my mental and emotional safety. I can't even get through it. As well as utilizing this time to forge a path and address this matter. You know why Wynn needs to take a month off? Because they were misgendered, because other city councilors didn't do this they thing because it's so awkward and grammatically incorrect. And they didn't play along. And now Thu is accusing them of bigotry and transphobia. And Thu needs a month off to recover. Watch this.
City councilor filing a complaint with Worcester's Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and they're taking a month-long break. They say it's for emotional and mental safety. Worcester City Councilor at Large Tu Nguyen taking a month-long mental health break, accusing the mayor and council of a toxic culture. Nguyen uses the pronouns they, them, and says it's not safe to show up to meetings in person.
I really, really wished I felt safe enough to show up on the council floor, but I don't.
Last night, when talking about remote participation, Nguyen accused the mayor and another councilor, Kathleen Toomey, of using the wrong pronouns. Nguyen also says Councilor Candy Merrow Carlson repeatedly called them it.
I have faced transphobia with being misgendered and recently learned that I have been dehumanized to a point where I'm being referred to as it by my colleagues on this council.
Councilor Toomey says early on when the councilor was elected, I did make an honest error in addressing the councilor and may have done so a few times, for which I apologized. There has never been any intentional or consistent misgendering. I have been mindful to address the councilor respectfully in the manner in which they identify over the past 3 years.
Spoken with city staff who've confirmed that Councilor Nguyen was referred to as an it by a councilor.
Councilor Christian King troubled by what he's heard.
I can't even disavow any sort of political hostility based on someone's being.
There's a lot of drugs in Worcester. There's a lot of crime. There's a lot of bad schools. And the city council is spending its time worrying about transphobia. And this person, I got to give Wynn Thu credit. I'm not sure what they is. Is they? Is they?
They is pretending to be a fella.
So it's she. That's a woman.
I believe so.
And that woman was elected by the voters in Worcester. And the funniest part is, I mean, you want to complain about whatever. They misgendered me, fine. She needs a month because she doesn't feel safe. Safe from what? What words?
Nothing like drawing all this attention to it. It'll make it better.
Our schools, our parents, our culture has failed. If this person feels who was elected, who's there, and needs to take a month off because those words hurt me. They hurt me so much. I was misgendered. Well, we are in a little island, a little oasis here in Massachusetts. This isn't happening in the rest of the country, and it's not going to happen here. This stuff is over. Okay, have your fun, Thu. Enjoy your time in the spotlight and your time away where you try to recover from the trauma of somebody misgendering you. But you know what? You're not a they. There's no such thing as a they. You can't be a they. You're only one person. So just stop it.
It is such a classic line to bury one of them with.
Honest to God, there's someone. It's probably getting. Someone's ODing in Worcester right now. Someone's getting abused or shot or killed, so it's a dangerous place. Not for her, for the citizens, for the people, the constituents. Not her. She's fine. Oh God, that's probably our next senator. Right there. That's probably our next. Once Lizzie retires, there's our next U.S. senator right there. I want to get to this fire story and we got to make our NFL picks. It's a big NFL weekend, and I got to find my long johns. I'm heading to DC, and it's going to be 9 degrees. It's going to be worth it though. It's going to be a blast. We'll get to more right after this.
Excuse me.
Are you looking to cut costs and improve your business's bottom line? The best business operators have turned to Ramp to help them stop wasteful spending and improve their finance operations. Ramp is the corporate card and spend management software designed to help you save time and put money back in your pocket. With Ramp, spend policies are built into the card so you can prevent wasteful spending before it happens. You can customize spending limits and restrictions so employees are empowered to purchase what your business needs, and you have peace of mind. Ramp plays bad cop so you don't have to. Detecting policy violations, chasing missing documentation, requesting repayment, and locking down cards of non-compliant employees. Ramp helps you manage all your finance operations in one place. Card expenses, reimbursements, vendor payments, accounting automation, and a whole lot more. So you can see all your business spending in one place. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/Gerry. Ramp.com/Gerry. That's RAMP.com/Gerry. Card issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. Get $250 when you join Ramp. Go to ramp.com/Gerry. You know, I'm going to be watching a lot of football like everybody will be this weekend. We got the NFL Saturday and Sunday, the national championship game Monday. Can't wait. It's going to be fun, but I got to admit, I'll be flipping around because the media, I have to watch the meltdowns on MSNBC and CNN. We'll be all over it. We'll have those for you next week, I'm sure. We'll have meltdowns. But this is, I got to do this before we get to the NFL. Jim Acosta has been reassigned. He could be the best example of Trump derangement syndrome because he's not really smart. He hates Trump. He was in the press room covering the White House the first time. You can remember him attacking Trump every day. He's been on in the morning, I guess, for a while now. They just announced CNN. They're putting him on at midnight. I don't know if he's a drinker, but maybe we'll see drunk Jim Acosta at midnight on Sunday and Monday. Can't wait. But Jim Acosta, after Biden's pathetic farewell speech, talking about the death of the media, and how oligarchs and how social media is not fact-checking anymore, which is just laughable. Democrats can't handle the fact that they don't control social media anymore. By the way, the Supreme Court just upheld the ban on TikTok. So they either have to shut down or sell. I want them to sell to Mr. Wonderful, to Jim O'Leary. That's what I'm hoping for, and have TikTok controlled by another oligarch in America. Just to drive.
Elon talking about buying it?
Yeah, Elon could buy it. I mean, he could afford it. But Jim O'Leary and Frank McCourt, Boston businessman, are making their best attempt to buy TikTok. Hopefully they succeed. They got to sell. They could sell for 50, 100 billion, or shut down. And if they shut down, that tells you all you need to know. It was a spy operation. That's all it was. But hopefully they sell to an American because I'd like to see the competition. I mean, it's a thriving social media platform. No reason to shut it down unless it was nothing but a spy op. But we'll see. Here's Jim Acosta as defending the media in this current culture where people no longer trust you, Jim. They don't like you. They don't listen to you. Go ahead.
A moment to talk about something President Biden said during his farewell address. He warned the free press is crumbling in this country. I would add that's only if we, the people, let that happen. Journalists exist to seek the truth, to tell people, to look at places that may not be heard otherwise, to shine a light on injustice, and to hold the powerful accountable. We are not the enemy of the people. We are the defenders of the people. Walter Cronkite once said, freedom of the press is not just important to democracy, it is democracy. I want to take a moment to show you something. A woman sent me this sign 8 years ago. She carried it here at a march in Washington. She wrote on the back of the sign, to me and the press here in D.C., you have our support. To Nora, wherever you are, right back at you. Reporting from Washington, I'm Jim.
Oh, my God. The self-awareness is zero. He holds up a sign that says, I march for Jim Acosta. from 8 years ago. He just said with a straight face, the media is here to hold the powerful or government accountable. You've done exactly the opposite for 8 years. That's what you do. You show up every day with one goal: defend the powerful, defend the establishment, the swamp. That's what you do. That's what you do at CNN. That's what Jim Acosta does, and now he will do it at midnight. All right, do we have time to do the LA firefighters? Because I want to do this just for Bill Burr and Jimmy Kimmel. It must be just torture to be one of the people in Pacific Palisades or Altina or any of these communities whose house is gone, who's lost everything, who pay the highest taxes in the country, some of the highest taxes in the world, and your government could not do its most basic function: protect you, keep your house from burning to the ground. And now, by the way, they're going to stop you from selling your property if that's your only way out. What if you're like 75 years old and you tell you it'll be 5 years before you can rebuild? You can't sell. Gavin Newsom won't allow it. But how'd you like to be sitting in that hotel, that Super 8, just wondering what you're going to do now? And you hear this, that the firefighters told the city that it was coming, that they were understaffed and they weren't prepared, and the next wildfire was going to be deadly. Watch this.
If we cut one position, if we close one station, if we close one resource, the residents of Los Angeles are going to pay the ultimate sacrifice, and someone will die.
Just last month, fire personnel packed an LA Fire Commission meeting, begging the city to rethink the budget.
These cuts came at exactly the wrong time, with calls for services at an all-time high and our firefighters at their breaking point.
We are straining our department's resources beyond the brink, and we cannot continue on this path.
City Councilwoman Tracy Park was there too.
You imagine if this happened in Florida or Texas before a disaster. This wasn't a natural disaster, it was man-made. You imagine if Ron DeSantis was out of the country before a major Cat 5 hit Florida. What would Jim Acosta be doing today? What would Jimmy Kimmel be saying today? It's remarkable, the failure, the criminal negligence of the public officials, and they're still at their jobs. They're still nothing. They pay no price. No one's held accountable. They were warned. Cut the budget and people will die. What they do? Cut the budget. Karen Bass cut $18 million out of the budget. They didn't mobilize fire department after they were warned that these winds were kicking up and homeless people were setting fires, and there was real catastrophe on the horizon. They did nothing. And what did Bill Burr say? Great job, everybody. Don't listen to those people on the internet.
Free Luigi.
Free Luigi. What an absolute a-hole. All right, quickly, Ironhead. You ready?
Yep,
Tomorrow.
I got the games and the spreads if you need them.
Tomorrow, Houston at Kansas City. Kansas City is a 7.5-point favorite.
Currently 8.5.
Really?
Just checked.
I don't care. I feel like you get a huge advantage when you get a bye. The round one games, the wild card round games were brutal. There were a lot of people getting carted off, limping off. I think having a week off is a huge advantage. I'm going with the Chiefs.
I'm going to go with Houston if they're getting 8.5.
All right. Washington at Detroit. Detroit minus 5.5. Again, I feel like that bye is a huge advantage, and Detroit is
also currently, as of just now, Detroit is minus 8.5.
You're kidding.
No.
I just looked this up on ESPN.
How about DK?
Wow. You know what? You want to go with 8.5?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Washington then. I love Jaden Daniels. This team fights, man. They got something. They might not win, but 8.5 is too much.
I'll go Detroit.
LA Rams at Philadelphia. Go ahead. Give me your line.
I got -6 for Philly.
Yeah, I got -6 for Philly also. I'm going to go. I can't do the home. I'm going to go with Philly. I hate them. I can't root for Philly, but that's not that big a line. And again, playing a game.
I'll go LA.
Playing a game in Arizona, flying across the country, that's tough. I'll go with Philly. And Baltimore at Buffalo. What line do you have on that?
Buffalo is getting 1.5.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
No, they're not. Baltimore is favored?
Buffalo's favored. Yeah, Baltimore's favored right now. 1.5.
No, that's not true. But whatever.
Yeah, right now on DraftKings.
That's wrong. That's wrong. You're telling me Buffalo's an underdog?
Yeah. I think it's a trap.
I don't care. I'm going with Buffalo.
Yeah, I think Buffalo wins by like 10.
And it might snow. It might be a good snow game. And that's I like that. That's a much watched game. The winner of that is going to the Super Bowl. Obviously. Yeah. Obviously. And that is it. And we'll I'm on my way to DC. I'm gonna be bundling up.
Check out the Capitol.
Being there for history. I'll be there at the Capitol. I don't think I'm going to see Taylor Swift. I don't think I'm going to see Kid Rock, but I will see Carrie Underwood and the Village People. Yeah, I could check that off my bucket list. I'll get to see the Village People. I hope we'll see. No, there should be lots of craziness. I'll be back. I'll have a full report next week when I return from DC for this historic occasion. I was thinking about it. I'm like, this is better than a Super Bowl. This is better than a national championship game. This is history. It's bigger than 8 years ago. That was good. This is better. This is bigger. There's going to be some great energy in DC at the Capitol on Monday at 12:01. 3 days, people. Get ready. We win. I'm excited. All right. We'll leave it there for today and for this week. Thanks to everyone for watching and listening. We appreciate it. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we'll do it again next week.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you. Thank you
Wow.
all. Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many thank yous.